What's going on, fellas? Listen, I'm gonna be short, simple, quick, to the point about what I have to tell you. Didn't get the video done last week and was able to post one, but I'm going to be able to post one this week. I just had a lot of things going on. I got a lot of things done with this, and I'm going to show you. And then we'll have to go back to another place to tell you what went on and what happened, and then fast forward to where we are now. I only got a couple days to try to get this thing done because I have big plans for taking this thing somewhere. And if I do not get it done between today and tomorrow, then I won't be able to take it. So there ain't going to be a lot of me filming and a lot of me, going through things. It's just going to be stopping and showing you what I've got done and what I've did so far, and just go over a few things and be quick with it. Welcome to the channel. So this is where I'm at. I got my intake already on. I got my heads on, bolted on. I got everything set. So really all I have to do is throw my valve covers on and put the rest of it on. And I should be good, except for my injectors. Those injectors were supposedly Bosch injectors, but I bought them off eBay, and I was like a little skeptical, but I was like, well, even if they're Chinese junk injectors, maybe they'll still work. I looked up multiple videos on YouTube, and those things are terrible. So I'm gonna throw those things away, and we're going to put the original ones back on. Now, I already had my valve covers on here once, but the valve lash that I was supposed to set at 1.5 to 2 turns after 0 lash, it told me 4.5 turns in the Haynes manual. Now, I don't know why it says that in the Haynes manual, but that's what it says. So I had to take the valve covers back off, readjust everything, and yeah, I was a little bit skeptical about that too. 4.5 turns, and it wasn't until my little boy inside the house, I still have my rocker arms from where I did the whole assembly inside the house because it was just cold and wet probably one day, and I have them in a box, and he brought one to me, and I seen the adjustment on the rocker arms that used to be on here, and I was like, the ones I just adjusted are almost pegged out, so something ain't right. And that's what got me to looking, and I seen what everybody else said, and I seen where the Haynes manual was wrong, that it was a misprint. So I was like, well, I had to take them back off, and it really made me mad. But another good thing that was a godsend is I went and picked up these Pro. Here's part number 50312T. I was told by somebody who deals with these 2.9s a lot that this takes care of the valve cover problem with it leaking. And let me tell you, I put gasket sealer on both sides, ultra black, on those quart gaskets. The one on the driver's side, I used the tube that came with the kit, and it wasn't that stuck at all. But I used the ultra black on the one on the left side, and I had to pry it off, literally. That's, how good I got it on there, but even still then, it was a quart gasket, and it probably would have leaked. So I believe that the good Lord was looking after me, even though I had to spend $50 on gaskets after I done spent so much dollars on gaskets. Pick me up a 160-degree thermostat because that's what I want to run in this thing. I know it's a little cold, but hey, I want this thing to run a little cold because I don't want the head cracking issue or head gasket problem to come back from it overheating. And plus, changing the thermostat will be a good thing. After what we've seen inside these ports, I really think that it was a good thing to go ahead and change the thermostat gasket. And honestly, to the heater core, I don't think I'm going to hook it back up. I think I just might circle around one of the hoses and cut them and just have it circulate back into it. So that way we're not pulling a bunch of trash from the heater core back into this motor. This is where I'm sitting at. And I want to tell you one last thing before we go, and that's about this intake. Now, this intake is my intake, and it's the original intake. But if you look back here, there's a chunk gone out of it and missing. Now my buddy, luckily, he has a blown up 2.9 in a Ranger that he got in a trade. And I called him and I was like, hey, I hate to be a bum, but do you think I can get that intake off of you? And he's like, yeah, that'll be fine. And we worked out a deal, and I got that intake, went over and took it off. And here's the video to that. Well, guys, I'm over here at a different location, and that's because I got to get the lower intake off this truck. So you already know everything that I'm going to have to take off because I already did it on the Bronco too. Got my tools with me, got my electric ratchet, and I'm going to be taking it off this beauty of a pickup. Man, this thing is just clean. No rust anywhere. Interior's clean. And it's got the newer style dash, straight gear, 2-wheel drive, which if you ask me is pretty cool because it's still extended cab. But this is my buddy Shade Tree's truck, and the reason why I'm over here is because, well, my lower intake cracked. I cleaned it, and maybe I used the wrong things cleaning it. I know they're aluminum, and I'm not going to state what I used because I'd be made fun of. Oven cleaner and LA's Totally Awesome. But everything was fine until I went to the car wash to pressure wash off the parts. And when I pressure washed them off, a big old chunk came out of the lower intake, or what I consider a big old chunk. It was about that big, and where it came off at, you know, was kind of devastating to me because I was trying to go through and button this thing up the right way. And so this motor in this truck, it needs rod bearings. Basically the oil pump just quit working on it, and when my buddy tried driving it to his house when he got this on a trade, I think it quit running on him, and then he let it sit for a little while and started it back up, and he said he heard a rod knock. So it needs rod bearings, but it's only got 90,000 miles, and it is a clean pickup. And I like the front end on my Bronco too, but these front ends right here are unique, you know, of its own, because it's basically, you know, the Ranger changing up right before it changed right there in 93 to a more rounded body style. And if you didn't know, you could also get the 4-liter in these model trucks from 89 to 92, if I ain't mistaken. Plus 88 and above, they didn't have the EGR, and if you look, it ain't got the EGR tube that runs in the upper part of the intake. And these have the updated heads from the factory already. 88 and below is the one that had the heads that were prone to cracking. They fixed the problem, and in 89 they put a thicker casting heads on them. So these were basically the 2.9 trucks that you wanted. And who knows how clean this thing is. Might work out a deal with them and see if I can't get this thing myself. You know, I could always use a Ranger. You know, I'm a Ranger guy too. Well, I figured that's enough talking. It's about midday, and I only got a few hours to work on this thing. So I figured that we'll get back to the regularly scheduled entertainment over there, where I'm trying to put this Bronco 2 back together. Well, what are you waiting on? Go on. I mean, I can't do the slidey trick. Maybe I can. Well, guys, I got her done, and it ain't pretty. This thing is just nasty. Mine has 209,000 on the motor, and it was not this nasty. I mean, that's just a pool of congealed oil right there. And these back coolant passages are so plugged. The front ones ain't, the rear ones are. I mean, this is just terrible. I don't know if this is a common problem on 2.9s. It could be a common issue just from the issues that I had, but I really think it's just from people just not changing their oil enough. And I believe these 2.9s need their oil changed. If not 5,000 miles every oil change, 3,000. You know, that used to be the standard back in the day, was 3,000 miles every oil change, but some people just never changed it. And for a motor to only have 90,000 miles and it be blowed up because of probably a clogged up, I'm guessing, oil pump, because of all that trash that's on top, it probably never got changed. So if you was to pull the oil pan out of that thing, it would probably show its true colors. Now that I got it off, I'm gonna see if I can't go find a place to get that lower intake clean. That's a pretty good looking little Ranger, ain't it? I like the 90s. I like the front ends of the, you know, the 87s, 88s, you know, a little bit better. Something about those square headlights and the old look, I just like a little bit better. But I got that intake. I bet you're wondering, well, if you got it, why did you put your old chipped one back on here? Well, as soon as I got that intake clean of all the gunk and I was pressure washing it at my buddy's garage, it did the exact same thing. I took it here and was going to stick it in the ultrasonic cleaner and clean it up. But before I stuck it in there, I noticed it had a chip too. So I was thinking, well, I can look at both of the two and see which chip is worse. Well, his chip wasn't as bad. But that's not what kept me from putting it on this motor. Somebody had already been in the top end and the intake on the back side, somebody had ground down the part where it sits against the gasket, and I was just not wanting this thing to leak after putting all this work into it. So I knew mine, nobody had messed with it, tampered with it. I cleaned it myself. I didn't take off any material. I just took off what gasket was on there left behind from when I took it apart, and it had plenty of material left to sit down where it needed to be and didn't look like it been ground off with a grinder and a flap disc. So that's the story of the intake, and now we're at where we're at now, and I got all the valve lash set. I got the upper intake sitting down, and really what I have to do is get these valve covers on and get this thing going so that way we can make this trip. So I'll get back to you when I have an update. All right, guys, I've been hard at it, and this is where I pretty much got everything bolted up except for a few miscellaneous things. I had to drill out the holes to fit the new bolts for the alternator bracket. Got both of them tight. I still have to hook up the throttle, put that plastic piece on, hook up a few, various connectors. This is how far I got. And tomorrow, what we're going to be working on doing is changing the oil in this thing, go ahead and filling it up with radiator fluid after we get the hoses on it, of course. Taking one of the hoses off of the heater core, cutting it and just looping it around so that way, it'll just flow back in. I did break one of my bolts to my thermostat housing, but I gooped it up real good before I put it on there, and it has that rubber seal, so maybe it'll be all right. I don't know. If I let it dry overnight, that ultra black usually dries pretty good. That, and I need to put a solenoid on this thing. I have to go to the parts store and see if I can get one of those. And other than that, I think that's just going to about do it for this thing. I'll tell you, the biggest battle I had today was fighting with that fuel rail. And the reason why is because I've never done anything this extensive with engine work, anything like that. I've owned a garage, but me and my buddy, we opened it for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I can't remember. It's November 2021 to sometime early 2023, so add up the math. What we basically did is we ran the business, and we would do, a few small things here and there. I never went to school for all this stuff. I just, learn off of how I go, You don't know a lot when you first start, and you start to do, and you learn more as you go, and you can learn from other people as well. But now my buddy, he went to Nashville Tech out there and done big diesel engines and stuff like that. and I was going to go with him, but I never did. And that's just a long, big story, and we don't know, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole, okay? But when I was going to take this fuel rail off, I thought there was only 2 bolts holding it on. I didn't know about the other 2 that were stuck down deep inside of the lower intake. And I went to go pry up on it, and I guess I bent it some. So I had to take all my injectors back off. Probably the 4th time I've did that, because I ain't going to use them cheap Chinese junk injectors. And when I took them off, I called him and I was like, hey, what do you think I should do? And he told me, he said, well, just, put 1 bolt hole in there and then put all the rest of them, and it might mold back together. So I did that, and it did. But then when I went to go put the injectors in there, they didn't seem quite seated. So I took a pretty big hammer, and I just knocked on it pretty good. And I turned the switch a few times to see if that was going to leak. I don't know. We'll just see. I'm praying that they don't, because if they do, I might just blow a head gasket myself. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I will see you guys early in the morning so we can get this stuff done and we can get on the road by Thursday. Well, good morning, guys. I don't have my hat on, so I know my hair is just all over the place, but I've already been outside getting started on this thing. Plugged up everything pretty much that I can plug up. There's a few, and what I mean by few, there's like 2 loose plugs, and I don't know where they go. I think one of them's to the oxygen sensor, because he did tell me that he unplugged it, the previous owner, before. And I've already got the radiator topped off with radiator fluid. And I guess the next thing we need to do is change the oil. That oil is thick and draining real slow, and there was a bunch of sludge that came out. It's down in there. When I first opened it, it's pretty bad. Hope that's not a bad sign. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna let that oil drain for a little bit. I mean, I was not expecting that sludge down in the bottom of it. I'm guessing that the head gasket was, at least leaking a little bit in there. But then again, I don't know. There was a lot of sludge on the bottom. I'm really thinking about, of course, I don't know if I should, but I was really thinking about spraying some brake clean. I could probably get by with spraying it in the dipstick, but I don't want to spray it down where you pour the oil at, because I don't want that brake clean getting to those gaskets and doing something to it. But I think I can get by with spraying some of the dipstick, so I think I might do that just to kind of get some of that extra sludge out. Another thing I wanted to show you is I was thinking about bypassing these 2 hoses, and I remember that one of those hoses at the connection had a leak, and I'm going to be looking for that. The only reason why I'm doing this is because where I'm going to be going, it's going to be about 30 degrees in the morning and about 50, 60 degrees during the day, and I really think I'm going to need that heater, even if it's got one. I put a 160 degree thermostat, so I don't think I'll have that much of a heater, but who knows, I might be surprised. But I'm ready to see this thing fire up. I'm ready to get it done. I'm ready to get those tires put on it over. My buddy did tell me that he had time to throw these tires on there today, and I need it, because if I'm going to be on the interstate for any amount of time, the driver's side front tire on this side is bald on the inside. And putting those tires on, I may, cause them for some pre-wear on the inside too, but I'd rather go down there with good tires than bad tires, you know what I mean? That, and I got to put this thing on insurance today. I got to go get it titled and tagged. It's just a lot of stuff that I got to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is see if this thing will run, because if it ain't going to run, I ain't going to do any of it. But if it does run, and it runs out good, and I keep on saying that, and the only reason why I say that is because I doubt myself, but I did everything to my knowledge that I'm supposed to do. The only extra thing that I'm to go back and do is re-torque the lower intake bolts. It did say to do that after I ran it, so I'm going to run it, get it hot, re-torque those lower intake bolts, if it'll run, and then just warm it up and just let it sit there and idle and just see how good it's going to do. I'll come back at y'all when I get pretty much everything buttoned up and it's ready to fire. All Alright guys, oil's changed. It does have gas in it, even though it's very yellow, it's still gas. I poured some fuel treatment in it. Wanted to use those new injectors, but eBay just let me down. And eBay, if one day this video ever goes viral and you see this, quit letting people sell sorry parts, or fake parts for that matter. I mean, ain't that like copyright infringement? I mean, back in the day, if you counterfeited a dollar bill or some kind of money, they'd kill you. I'm not telling you to go that far, but you know, do something about it, eBay. Come on now. I did go ahead and put my new solenoid in, so now we should be able to crank it from the inside. Very nervous. I don't even know if I want to do this, but I got to, just to see if it'll run. You know, there's so many places that you can mess up on. Forgetting something is 1. 2, not tightening something down. 3, what if I got the firing order wrong, even though I looked it up like 10 times? What if I didn't torque down the heads the way I was supposed to? I don't know. Just a lot of room for error, but if this thing runs, then that means all that error that we had room for, we ain't got to worry about it because we did all right. So here we go. I got it full of coolant, full of oil, new spark plugs. Oh wait, I about seen one boo-boo. I had to take one spark plug off to get the dipstick in. So let's shove that thing back on there. Now, here we go. One thing I want to do, because I didn't hear it yesterday, I want to make sure those injectors ain't leaking. They don't look like they are, so we're good right there. And I see a vacuum hose, could have been chopped off. Ain't nothing in the way of the fan. No, belts are tight. Here we go. Well, just like to go and do something. Oh, I didn't even cut it on. What am I doing? Gosh, I'm so nervous. Come on, Brandon. Oh, now, let's see. Ooh. It made noises. It made noises. All right, let's see. Okay, well, it ran for about 10 seconds. This needs a good battery to run. I hope that alternator's good and charging. going to do that until it gets all that old antifreeze that's inside of there burn off. So we'll probably see that for a minute. The biggest thing is I want that thermostat to open up, so that way we can fill this radiator with the antifreeze that needs to be put back in. Idling a little high. It could be because maybe I ain't got a vacuum line hooked up just right, but I'm happy with what I got. Well guys, I'm faced with a problem and I just don't know what to do. And this problem that I'm having is not good. This thing ran good for about a good 5 minutes, but then it got to the point to where it would not let me push on the throttle any. I don't know what's the cause of that, but it kept on backfiring through the intake. I don't know. I'm gonna tighten down these intake bolts one more time, and then I don't know, might see if I can't adjust that distributor any. and if I can, you know, maybe I got it off just a little bit, but it was running good other than that. But this is the issues I'm having. So this might put a stop on the big trip that I was planning, and if it does, that's okay. You know, we got to where we could got, and this is what I was afraid of, you know, getting something done and fixing it and then something else going wrong, and it's always a forward, ain't it? I don't know, I ain't got my air breather on, which I don't think it make that big a difference. It was idling high, so it leads me to believe that maybe there is a leak in the intake, and I can just tighten it down. So I'm gonna do that and see what happens. All right, guys, so here's where I'm at. I don't think it was a timing issue, and the reason why is because it ain't got no gas in it. Either that or the fuel pump's bad. I have pressed that Schrader valve right there inside there, and the only thing that I got out of it was air and a little bit of gas. So I think my timing was right. I just think we ran out of gas, and he told me that the gas that was in it is gone. So we'll run and go get 5 gallons of gas, because that ought to be enough for that pump to prime with, and see if that pump's still good. And I don't think it's a big tank anyway, so we'll go get 5 gallons of gas, come back and see if that does anything. All right, look guys, I don't think I'm gonna be able to take this thing on that trip as bad as I want to. I just don't think it's feasible. There's just too many problems still wrong with it that I didn't know about it. I don't know if it's charging. The temp gauge don't work, so there's always the fear of it overheating. For that aspect, I put a new starter on this thing, and that doesn't mean the starters that you get from the parts store are good, because these starters for these 2.9s are terrible. But it's either not charging or something's not going on. And then the solenoid that I bought today from AutoZone was junk, which I already know it was junk. You know, you get anything from there, you know, it's pretty much junk. But I got good oil pressure. I put my bottle of zinc in there, and if you don't know what that's for, it's basically you run straight 30 weight non-detergent oil, and the only reason why I'm doing that is because these heads are brand new, rocker arm shafts are brand new, valves are new, pretty much everything is new on the top end. So I really wanted to get some non-detergent, you know, oil, just straight 30 weight, and some zinc. And it's basically a break-in process, and I don't think I'll run it that long in this Bronco, probably about 1,000 miles, and then I'll change the oil with Shell Rotella 10W30, because it's got you know, the zinc and all the other stuff that basically these hydraulic flat tappet cams need. So it's got everything that this 2.9 engine needs. It's got everything that, you know, basically a lot of these old pickups that have flat tappet cams need. So I believe that's what I'm going to run in her. But that doesn't mean that we cannot, you know, take this thing for a drive. I mean, we can zoot it around here, you know what I'm saying? I might even get it out on the road and see how it does. Who knows? The only thing is I'm afraid of getting on the highway and then it just shutting off. These Fords have a Duraspark system, and on these Duraspark systems, it basically has a metal thing inside the distributor that opens and closes like a window, and then it has this little module on the side of it that controls everything, and then you got a coil for the spark. And when it works, but when it doesn't, it's terrible, because you don't know whether it's the coil, whether it's the pickup in the distributor, or whether it's the control module on the outside. So you're just about better off just to buy all of it brand new. I did buy a new cap, new rotor, new plugs, new wires for this thing to run in it, and I got 10 gallons of gas in it right now, and I think my idle air control valve is stuck on high because it does not want to idle down. So I think we're going to drive this thing around. I'm I'm going to take that idle air control valve off after, you know, this thing runs for a while. I'm going to see if it starts back or if it does that slow starting crap. There's no way this thing's out of time because I have messed and fiddled with that distributor and it just can't be. So we're going to fiddle around here and just put this thing around and I'll just show you how it does. As far as like with that idle up as high as it is, as far as it going in gear, man, it goes in gear. Brakes are good. Man, I'd take this thing on that trip if it didn't have them small issues. The biggest thing, like, for the place I'm going, one, I need it to start on command, especially if we're stuck out in traffic. Two, I don't need no intermittent, like, hey, it's going to start one day and then the next day it's not. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man. Yeah. I think it needs some new shocks. One thing I am not used to in this 2.9, this Bronco's a little bit different, isn't it? The fact that it's got an automatic. So when I put my foot in it, you know, these 2.9s ain't got that much power as it is, but with a straight gear, I feel like it pulls a lot better. Pt.4 LD's junk anyway, but as far as like the wife driving it or the kids driving it or just, you know, getting in it and go and not having to worry about changing gears, it's great for that. Whatsoever. Everything shakes and it's all over the road. Like, the steering's tight, but I don't know, shit. Good gosh. Slinker's work. Oh. Good Lord. Is on this pickup. I've only, you know, was able to see, you know, what I could see, but one thing it done that was kind of funny to me is, like, after it ran that, you know, high idle for such a long time, it almost felt like that something was grabbing, and it kind of scared me. Like, had I got this thing too hot to the fact that, you know, the pistons were sticking, or by using the non-detergent oil, like, you know, the break-in oil, was that going to do something to the pistons? I don't know. I'm just going off by what I hear, what I see, and my buddy, that's what he was going to run in his engine, but he's putting new rings and all kinds of stuff in his. He's reusing the cam, reusing the pistons and the crank, but he's putting new bearings, new main bearings, pretty much everything in a truck he's got. I want to get this thing in the shade, that way I'm not
shut off good.
It's still hot. And we're gonna see if this thing will crank back over. Yeah, it did. Well, guys, if you made it this far, I know you're probably disappointed that I wasn't able to take the Bronco on a long trip. And I really wanted to. It's just the lower radiator hose was leaking. It rubbed up against something and it was dripping pretty good. And the ICM that goes on the back of the distributor was loose for some reason. So whenever I pulled it one way, it wanted to make the Bronco flood and die. Then I'd push it back and then want a high idle. But if you did make it this far, at least you got to see it run and drive around the house. And that doesn't mean that I ain't going to take it on a long trip. I'm going to take it on one. I wish I could have took it to this one, but it's all right. You know, we always have many more chances later on. And that doesn't mean that it's the end of the Bronco 2 series. I definitely got many more things I need to do. I need to clean it up, go through it, put them tires on, and get this thing to where I can run it and drive it every day, make it a daily driver. By the way, if you can guess where I'm at just by looking, put it down in the comments. I'll give you a little bit of hint. The place I went, if you know where I went to, then you know I'm white trash. I don't go out at night because that's when all the craziness happens. And my last clue, which should give it away, is down here where I'm at. For 3 days, you can hear rods running. So if you know where I'm at, comment down below. This is the end of the video. I appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see y'all fellers later.